Thank God that we have our own experiences in our lives, our own experience, because it's your experience really that drives it home for you. It's your own experience that lets you know that Jesus is Jesus and he's worth following. There are some things that happen in your life that would say, well, maybe we should follow another one. Maybe we should follow another one. Maybe to be in something that's a little more exciting. Maybe to be in something that's a little more centered around me as an individual. Maybe me as being black. Maybe to be centered around something else. And then sometimes confusion comes in, like someone may tell you that the God you serve is not for you, not for your kind, not for you, whatever you have going on. The God that you serve doesn't have the power that you seek and the power that you need to move in your life, to make a difference in your life. Sometimes things will come against you. Sometimes things will come against you. Sometimes cultural things that we're taught will come against us. Sometimes it's habits that we've had. Sometimes it's logic that we had. The reasoning that we've been doing will come against us and hurt us instead of helping us. But when you have that experience for yourself, you may say, well, I don't know if the Europeans brought the gospel to Africa or not. I don't think they did, because Jesus was actually hidden in Africa. So I don't think they did. But whether or not he did, whether or not the Westerners did take it to Africa, well, okay, maybe they did. But I know Jesus for myself. Maybe some people have used the gospel in a lukewarm fashion. Some people have even perverted there's some Gnostics out there, some all sorts of things out there. Some people have done some things with the word that's been contrary. That doesn't mean that the gospel is ineffective, that it's invalid. So I know it for myself. I know Jesus for myself. So it doesn't matter what stories are conjured up. It doesn't matter what else, other experiences somebody brings. I know it for myself. Whenever I went to college, and back in that day, we didn't know what we could do. We didn't know what we could do. We didn't know if we could play sports and all that. So we didn't know what we could do. We thought it was wrong for us to play sports. We thought it was wrong for us to participate in gym. Where at the church I went to, let me just say, we thought it was wrong to participate in gym. So whenever I went to college, I actually had a letter written for me, and they allowed me not to go to some physical ed class. I had to take another class. But in taking that other class that substituted for it, it got into religion. It got into, see, I had grown up and all I knew was Christianity. I thought the other stuff was kind of weird because it wasn't in my circle. All I knew was Christianity. But once I got to campus, there were some other things there at campus. There was matter of fact, some of the people who I thought were Christians didn't look a whole lot like Christians on campus. So whenever they began to teach me in class and they began to teach me something that was contrary to what I knew, I began to think, maybe something to this. When I faithfully had a Muslim calling me daily to convert me, was on his job, the saints I knew who were tearing with people on the altars during revival were doing something else on campus, I began to wonder about some things. But I went back to church. And the power of the Lord once again fell on me. I had my own experience. So I said, you know what? I don't know what they're doing with the gospel. I don't know what they're doing with this teaching, but I know Jesus for myself. I know the power of the Lord I know the difference it made in my life. I know the hope it gave me. I know the peace it gave me. I know the joy it gave me. Much as the blind man. A blind man who was born blind. Now, it's one thing to go blind and to know what green looks like. It's one thing to go blind and be able to remember, but it's something else to be born blind and have no sense of what some other things are. Can you imagine the great hope of going from a beggar, a great hope from you can't even go certain places in the temple because of what you have going on. This great hope once your eyes are open because Jesus came by and healed you and changed your situation. Can you imagine? The blind man's situation changed just like that. The God I serve, your situation can change just like that. Here he is. Here he is, Jesus. Passed by. This is what the scripture said. He saw a man which was blind from his birth. Jesus knows exactly what you've had in you since your birth. Now this physical thing, they can see that. But see, we have a lot of stuff that's spiritual. A lot of stuff that's inner people can't see. People can't judge some things that you have in you based on our long dresses, based on our sleeves being down our wrist there. They can't judge some things. But God knows exactly what it is that we need to change in our lives. Jesus saw him. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? I know some of us are trying to figure out, God, why do I have this situation? What is it that I've done or someone else done that I deserve this situation? That I deserve this situation. Been relatively a good person. Relatively a good person. Haven't done too much harm out there. What is it that you looked down through the generation and decided this would be my fate? But do you know that God can use your situation no matter what it is? God can use your situation for his glory. God can do that very thing. Jesus answered his disciples. These are the people who are following him. They need to know why Jesus did this. They need to know what's going on and what the situation is, because Jesus, here he is saying that he's equal to God by forgiving sin, healing people and saying, go and sin no more, forgiving them from their sin. And at that point, they realized that nobody but God could forgive sin. Nobody but God. They were used to the Day of Atonement. They were used to that, realizing nobody but God. So whenever Jesus comes along and Jesus begins to forgive sin, he's making himself equal with God. And we know today that he is God. We know this. So Jesus answered, neither hath this man sinned nor his parents. Oh my goodness. Neither has this man sinned nor his parents. Your situation, neither hath this man sinned or his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. Now, I know this is difficult for some people whenever we read these scriptures, because we said, now, if God is going to be made manifest in us, why didn't he do what I wanted him to do? Why didn't he change my situation the way I wanted my situation to be changed? Why didn't he make the difference that I wanted him to make? Why? Well, God can take us in whatever situation we're in and get the glory in that situation. God can take our situation and help us to understand his grace is sufficient. Take our situation. I must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. Jesus knew he had a season to work here on earth in the form of a man. He knew how long his ministry would be. He had to do the work of the Lord while it is day. Saints, we've got to do the work of the Lord while it's day. Night cometh. We don't know when that night is. Night cometh. And I'm going to tell you, even in the situation you're in, night will come. There will be a change in your life. Night will come. No longer do I minister to teenagers the way I ministered to teenagers when I was a teenager. Night will come in that situation. We've got to use the time we have, maximize it. Maximize it. Maximize it while it is day. For night cometh, and no man can work. As long as I'm in the world, I am the light of the world. When he had thus spoken, he spat on the ground and made clay of spittle, and he anointed the eyes of the blind man with clay. Now that was, I know we think that's unusual today. There was a man who actually did the illustration, put spit on the man's eyes not long ago, and there was an uproar about that. During this pandemic, you putting spit on a man's eyes on television? What is wrong? And he had to come back and he had to apologize because he felt like he had crossed the line that nobody would accept. Now, back in this day, if you go back and study back in this day, it wasn't uncommon for people to try this. People tried all sorts of things for healing. People tried all sorts of things. So here, he put this on his eyes. And he said unto him, go wash in the pool of Siloam, which is by interpretation sent. He went his way therefore and washed and came seeing. Washed and came seeing. The neighbors therefore, and they which were before, had seen him that he was blind, said, is not this he that sat and begged? Is not this he who sat and begged? See, when Jesus comes into our lives and he makes that difference in our lives, somebody should recognize the difference Jesus had made in our lives. Somebody, I don't care, even if you're a good person, somebody should recognize a difference he made in your life. We should have a new tongue. Where before we talked about something else, we should have a new tongue that Jesus can make the difference in your life. Jesus, he can do anything but fail. Some said, this is he. Others said, he is like him. But he said, I am he. He said that I am he. Yeah, I'm that same person. I'm that same person. Yeah, I did whatever I did. I'm that same person. Whatever had me, wherever I was, I'm that same person. But Jesus made the difference in my life. Jesus made the difference. I am he. Therefore said they unto him, how were thine eyes open? He answered and said, a man that is called Jesus made clay. A man who is called Jesus. We can say that today. I don't know what you got going on. I don't know, you talking about Christianity, how we're not living it at all. Maybe the majority of them are not living it, but Jesus made the difference in my life. Jesus did this. He made clay. He healed me. He delivered me. He saved me. He redeemed me. Jesus. And anointed my eyes and said unto me, go to the pool of Siloam and wash. And I went and I washed, and I received my sight. Then said they unto him, where is he? He said, I know not. At this time he's saying, a man that is called Jesus. See, he needs to see Jesus again. He needed to go and see Jesus a second time. He was touched by Jesus, but he needed to go really meet Jesus. They brought the Pharisees him that aforetime was blind. And it was the Sabbath day when Jesus made the clay and opened his eyes. Now, they have a problem with this. They have a problem with this because Jesus isn't fitting within their traditions. They have a problem with this because Jesus is not serving in the temple. Now, if he was serving in the temple, there were some things that had to happen, and even the priest had to work on the Sabbath in the temple because you couldn't let the fire go out. Somebody had to keep the fire burning in the temple, but here Jesus is operating on the outside of the temple, healing people, letting God's will be done on the Sabbath. How dare Jesus let God's will be done on the Sabbath? How dare Jesus would heal a blind man on a Sabbath? How dare Jesus glorify God on the Sabbath? What Jesus had going on was greater than their tradition. What Jesus had going on was greater than what they said their fathers had given them, and everything, every hedge they had built around the laws. What Jesus had going on was far greater. Jesus himself was God. He was doing his will on the Sabbath that he made for man. He didn't make man for the Sabbath. So here you have then again the Pharisees. Also ask him, how had he received his sight? He said to them, he put clay upon my eyes, and I washed, and I do see. Now you know for yourself. You know what you were yourself. What was inside? You know what was inside you yourself. Now when somebody come up against to you and say, girl, nothing about you. Like, oh, you just don't know. There's been a day you couldn't come up to me and say that. You just don't know. You just don't know the difference Jesus made in my life. You just don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows how he changes our thoughts, how he illuminates our minds, how he changes our hearts, how he encourages us and inspires us and give us the endurance. Nobody knows. There are times when we just want to stop, just want to fall out, just want to cry, just want to give up. But the God we serve has given us the strength, has given us the stamina, has given us the power of the Holy Ghost. Therefore said some of the Pharisees, this man is not of God, because he keepeth not the Sabbath day. Now, these are some people who didn't know Jesus for who he is. Others said, how can a man that is a sinner do such a miracle? And there was a division among them. They said unto the blind man again, what sayest thou of him, that he had opened thine eyes? He said, he is a prophet. What do you say about Jesus today? What do you say about Jesus today? Some said he is a sinner. Some said that he has to be of God. What do you say about Jesus today? Has he opened your blind eyes? Thank you for this time today, Pastor. Thank you, students. May the Lord richly bless you.